Now, for more on the U.S. jobs market, we're joined by Stephen Kyle, professor of economics at Cornell University. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's start with the headline number. An unexpected 209,000 jobs added in July, back to pre-global crisis levels, adjusting for population. What's your take on the numbers?
It was definitely a good number, greater than expectations, but at the same time, not so much over that the Federal Reserve is probably going to do anything very sudden. So I think the market is going to be very happy with this.
Well, we certainly saw that the president was happy. He seemed to tweet to take credit for the jobs gains. But what would you say are the factors behind this strong unemployment report?
Well, we've been having an expansion since the depths of the recession that started in 09 and 10, and it has never been spectacular, but it's been quite steady, and we're continuing on. People were worried that it would slow down a bit, but that doesn't seem to have happened until now.
Now, one thing people are concerned about are the type and the quality of these jobs. Where are we seeing the biggest gains?
Well, one thing that was showing up in the numbers was that there was not that much gain in retail jobs and retail sales. There has been growth in e-commerce and other areas. There hasn't been that much growth in higher paying jobs, but we did see an increase in average earnings of 2.5%. So that's a sign that the labor market is starting to get a bit tighter than it had been for the past few years.
And certainly with an unemployment rate this low, we usually do see wage growth pick up faster as well. But is it keeping pace with the economic momentum at the moment?
Well, the other measures of inflation that the Federal Reserve looks at are not showing inflation picking up. Personal consumption expenditure inflation is their favorite measure, and that's pretty much flat. It's rising a little bit, but nowhere near the target. In fact, the Federal Reserve's inflation targets haven't been met for quite a few years now. So there is no reason to think that they're really going to get very jumpy and start raising interest rates quite quickly. I'd say odds are probably 50-50. They're going to do it by the end of this year, but they're not going to do anything sudden based on this last report.
So other than concerns about stubbornly low inflation rates, are there any other underlying weaknesses that you see in the economy that could potentially change the jobs picture going forward?
Well, certainly when we see unemployment down to 4.3%, we have to say, how much lower can it go? We have been steadily growing for the last 5 years or so and have taken most of the slack out of the economy, and that includes the labor market. So there can't be an infinite ability to grow at the rate we have been. There will be a peak to this business cycle, as there are to all others. Nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know how long or how strong any particular business cycle is, but we do know it won't go on forever.
Now, we know that bringing back more U.S. jobs is a platform that President Trump ran on, especially in fossil fuel industries, manufacturing, and also the auto industry. What sort of gains are we seeing in those sectors?
Well, as you mentioned in the report just prior to my interview, there are some new manufacturing initiatives that have happened in various places in the United States. But the United States economy is huge, and they so far have not made a huge dent in the overall numbers. We have seen a long-term decline in manufacturing in the United States over the past 10 or 20 years. That so far has not really been reversed. However, if the dollar does keep drifting down, as it has over the past few months, we might see the incentives to base in manufacturing here increase.
Now, even with manufacturing being based here, we know that automation continues to help companies boost productivity, but that also comes with job losses or shifts into other sectors. Where do you think the next wave of job gains is expected to come from?
Well, certainly e-commerce is growing amazingly quickly, and we see moves like Amazon.com moving into groceries, for example, which is not something that anyone ever had thought would happen. There's clearly room there to grow, and everyone that I know certainly uses that method to buy things, and I don't think we're done seeing the growth there.
It'll certainly be continuing to change the retail landscape. Thank you so much, Stephen Kyle, economics professor at Cornell University.